Hello, everybody, and welcome to my 2025 Summer Lunch and Learn series. And I'm Helen Panos, Dynamis Learning, K through 12 tutoring, SAT, ACT prep company. And we do executive functioning now as well. We do advocacy, helping parents advocate for their kids through the school system. But today, and in the first four of my Lunch and Learn series, we're going to be talking about executive functioning. If you had joined us during the spring, you probably recognize Crystal. And I just realized, Crystal, that our names are not on here. It looks like StreamYard changed some things around.
Uh-oh.
Our names disappeared.
Great. Okay.
So welcome to the first Lunch and Learn series. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Miss Helen?
Good, doing good. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about the power of self-monitoring and helping students learn from the past. And we have a free gift offer for you. We felt like this was a good topic to begin with because, school's wrapping up here this week, actually. And, it's a good time to kind of self-reflect, look back, self-monitor. So we have four great topics coming up for the next 4 consecutive Wednesdays. Well, today is the first, and then all the way till middle of June. And Crystal will be joining us to talk about these different topics. You will see a graphic every week on my page, on my Dynamis page, that tells you the topic coming up. And here's the one for next week. You might want to hang out for this one. Why maintaining a consistent summer schedule is important. Wow, that's big for parents, right? So, Crystal, why don't we begin with you introducing yourself to our watchers, our listeners?
All right. Well, my name is Crystal Dement. I am an executive function coach. I have been an executive function coach officially for about 4 years now. And before that, I worked in business management and HR, helping people with their executive functions, as well as my own experience of growing up with my executive dysfunction and ADHD. And so I've been there and I know what to do. I figured it out. So here I am.
Been there, done that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So anything else you want to add? Or I know we've been busy, right, with executive functioning, even for the summer, folks. Some people may think you can't do it over the summer, but yes, you can. Isn't that right, Crystal?
That's right. Over the summer is a really good time to work on personal development. It's also a really good time to reflect on the school year and, talk about what worked and what didn't work, and then prepare mentally for what is coming. Especially if you're jumping from 8th grade to high school or from high school to college. Those are two different areas where we're going to find a lot of executive dysfunction. And so
must be why we have a couple 8th graders, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, big jump, and parents realize that. So let's start off by me asking you: Could you start by just defining what self-monitoring is in the context of K through 12 students? And I know we do executive functioning more for 6 through 12. But how would you define self-monitoring for parents?
So self-monitoring it's essentially a student's ability to be an active observer of their own learning, behavior, and thinking. And so it's kind of like managing yourself and reflecting on what you're doing. A lot of times there is a rush that's going, we want to rush through something so that we can get to the interesting stuff. And so we tend to forget to ask myself, how am I affecting others right now? Or did I pack my lunch? Did I finish my homework? Am I learning the right material is a good one. It even goes down to, am I drinking water and am I eating? And so, the whole day can go by without a single thought in this direction. And so it's important that we learn these skills.
It's really amazing. If you think about it, it's sometimes hard to remember to drink water and eat lunch or whatever if you're really busy.
That's right. And for a very busy brain that's just naturally very busy, you're going to miss a couple of those things here and there. And so it's important to learn to stop and take, and observe what's going on with you and your surroundings, and, pick up.
We need to teach that to kids. We can't assume they know what to do with that, right?
Right.
Or to even do that.
Right. And it comes naturally to some people. Some people are very good at it, but a lot of people, especially those with, on the spectrum and with ADHD, they have to learn it. And
Mm-hmm.
so supporting that as an adult, especially for the younger ones, you have to function for them in that way already. And then, for the older students, if they do have issues with executive dysfunction, they're going to continue with that. And you still have to try to help them to develop that. And
Mm-hmm.
so also, of course, coaching is that's part of what we do, is helping to establish those types of things.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of staying focused on task and keeping track of belongings for kids, what are one or two simple, actionable strategies that we can give parents today that they can start using, even today or tonight, to help their child develop better self-monitoring skills?
Awesome. Okay, so great question. Um,
Yes, I
so
like that question.
yes. So there's one thing that I do myself, and I always have. I picked this up working as an operations manager in a restaurant. So I was walking around everywhere, and I had a notepad with me. Okay, and I call it the distraction parking lot. Okay, it's like everything and every thought, even if it's something that is important, goes into one list. And so it's kind of a brain dump that we can do in that moment to keep focused on what we're doing. And so any topics, ideas, worries, things that we anticipate we would distract us from doing what we need to do, that would derail us, you put it on a piece of paper. Now I use these stenograph notebooks these days because they're small. They have a line right down the middle, and so I'm able to brain dump on one side, and then I
Ah,
can go over and categorize or do whatever I need to do. If I need to create a new list off of it, you can number them. You can say, how long is this one going to take? And so that you can help to build also those time management skills using something like this.
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like that. Any other? Do you want to give another strategy?
Sure. Yeah. So another good one would be a launch pad. Okay. So in a launch pad in my home specifically looks like a piece of furniture that's by the front door, has the
Hmm.
calendar, and it has spaces that are labeled. This is important if you want consistency, for backpacks. The agenda goes in one spot that comes home from my children, so that I can sign that. There's a place where when paperwork comes home, we have folders there. Some of it is for assignments they had and not. So what you have your like a purse there, keys, everything that goes in that spot. Like, this is where I stop before I move on to the next thing or before I leave the house. And in that spot, that's where you can do that self monitor, is like, okay, do I have everything I need? Did we do the homework? Did we? And you walk past it every day too. So it reminds you to stop and think about what's going on.
Hmm.
And so that is another really good way to do that at home.
So if they have sports, for instance, and maybe their cleats, if they're playing football, let's say, are there, or anything they have to take, maybe there's a bag of stuff, right, that they have to take to soccer practice or to,
Mm-hmm.
I know this is probably a big deal, is people remembering to pack up. Let's say they're swimming, the kids are
Mm-hmm.
swimming. Do you have your towel? Do you have your, if you're outside, sunscreen? Do you, because some of the meets are outside. I
Mm-hmm.
sponsored a team that was outside pool the whole time
Right.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are indoors, but there's several that are still outdoors too. So sunscreen, a towel, maybe flip-flops. Is it good to do a checklist? And maybe where would
Mm-hmm.
that checklist go? Would that go on the launch pad
Yeah.
too? Or is
Mm-hmm.
that in their room? And then they leave the bag, they pack it. Maybe they have to pack it from their, bedroom where the closet is. And then they
Mm-hmm.
go and have to leave it at the launch pad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you could have a checklist there, one of these pads there, to sit and be like, okay, what is it that I need to do right now before I leave? Or what is
Mm-hmm.
it that I need to do tomorrow before I leave? And have that area to put everything in. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, what'll happen is you'll have a bag that gets packed and it's placed in a different spot every time. And just that little bit of inconsistency makes it so the brain is scattered more. So just bringing that into one place where they can touch and go is going to help with that. So it reminds me, hey, I need to stop and think about this right now. And it's there, it's tangible, it's in the way, it's hard to avoid. And so getting in the habit of doing that, of course, takes a little bit of parent guidance. But when that does become a habit, it remains a habit lifelong.
Is it still true that it takes 21 days to form a habit?
It does, sometimes faster, sometimes longer, but essentially what we try to do is 21 days. 21 days of doing something, and then see where you're at with it.
And I'm thinking about vacations right now and how important executive functioning actually is to vacations, right? Yes. And if you're going overseas, wow. I mean, I even get like kind of overwhelmed, like, oh, this is so different in packing, really. And I'm hearing a lot of parents are going overseas. And I have to put in a plug for Destiny. We both know my assistant, Destiny, and she's got a baby, right? And a 7-year-old. And this is the first trip really for both the kids, of course, the 1-year-old for sure. And so her and her husband sat down and planned out on Sunday because they got to go to San Francisco and then they're going to Yosemite.